There are some questions I would still like to revisit, which you treated before, because this past few weeks we've actually touched a whole lot of things. We
Yeah.
talked about career, we talked about setting goals as an organization and as an individual as well. There are some questions I would love to ask you, which I feel, yeah, for the sake of those who are just joining us for the first time,
Yeah.
it might relate to them as well. And yeah, let me start from the part where we're talking about setting goals as an organization, where you're
Yeah.
talking about organization level and some other things. And yeah, there's this question that says, after recognizing your competitor, what are the most important steps to take?
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. So, one of the first thing you want to understand is you're going to choose who your competitor is,
Mm.
right? You're going to choose who your competitor is. So, great organizations or great businesses are businesses that have realized that their competition is with their yesterday's result,
Mm.
right? So, I am my own competition,
Mm.
right? But then that is not real in the business world, because the business world is a typical world where you say dog eat dogs.
Mm.
I mean, sometimes your success alone offends a lot of people. You know,
Yeah.
you're not checking others, but you've done great success, and people feel bitter. Why is it you? Why is it just you? Right? And then they
Exactly.
go with every forms of exploit, particularly in Africa, where you can see that so many people most of the times can't even go celestial and all of these things. Now, but the point here is that you want to be able to ask yourself, what is your competitor? So the first thing is that there are two levels of these competitors.
All
Right?
right.
I have said that there is something you call the actual competitor, and there is
Mm.
what you call the potential competitor.
Competitor.
Alright? And then there's something you call the intrinsic competitor. The intrinsic competitor is the one within you. Right? A lot of people do not understand. They continue to look at their neighbors and continue to look at competition.
Mm.
Meanwhile, the enemies they are binding and casting in church is the enemy's enemy.
Hmm.
Do you get that? So it's the enemy. In other words, it's the enemy inside of them.
Inside of them.
Enemies
So,
inside of
just
us.
like
So there
saying
is
you are
enemy
your own
in me.
enemy.
That's the whole idea. Right? So nobody's checking you out. But that attitude of laziness, the attitude of boredom, the attitude of procrastination, and all of these things can be the enemy, can be the competition, stealing your time, stealing your year, right? Stealing the best and better part of your resources and organization. Right, I remember the CEO of Nokia was asked, "What did you people do wrong?" He said he didn't, there was no time they could even ever see that they did something wrong. All right, basically, most of the times it's because they fail to pay attention to little details. Right, if you are paying attention to little details, most times details that is about you, it will build your sensitivity to know what else is against you, and then you can build ahead of competition. Right? So the way to deal with actual competitors are those who play within your industry space, those who play within your same locality and all of that. The only way to beat them is to quickly build up to become a market leader. Right? When you become a market leader, you become the trendsetter. You become the new person who creates stuff. So the moment you are there and you're a market leader, what happens is that they don't have any choice. Every level they seem to be operating now used to be your past. That's the whole idea of being a market leader. So you want to be able to build a sensitive team. And that's the reason why organizations build what you call research and development departments that are concerned about forecasting, looking at data, looking at facts and figures, and building great products. So if we become the market leaders, it means we would design what the new product will look like. We will design the new thing the industry is supposed to follow through. And the moment you do that, you're on the edge. And do not forget, if you are not living on the edge, then you're occupying too much space. So how do you build the resources of your organization? And when I mean resources, I mean both human and material resources, to be able to be sensitive to growth, be sensitive to opportunities. That way you can become a market leader. And the moment you're a market leader, you take control of trends, you take control of the new metrics in the market, and then you are able to deal with competition decisively. But before then, before the enemy external, there's always the enemy within.
Internal.
And that's why you must solve competition problem from inside out. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that. Now let me take you to the part where we're talking about strategy. Let me quickly say this before we go there. In case you're just joining us or you're joining us for the first time today, we're talking about scoring goals, and of course, and this is a topic we've been treating since the very first week of January. So you can imagine how many things we've covered since then. So in case you're just joining, you can always go to our YouTube channel, which is Broad Street Radio NG, to watch everything from there, so that you'll be able to understand what's going on right now. But at the same time, I still believe you can still understand, because the questions I'm asking cut across all the topics that we've treated so far on goals. So now let's go to strategy, because yes, as an organization, as an individual, there are strategies you put in place to be able to achieve a certain thing. But then, for some time it will be working and all, but at some point you realize that yes, things are not going the way you planned anymore and all of that. So that brings me to this question: how do you know when to change your strategy?
Okay. So I had said it in one of our sections. I said that there is need to be very intentional about anything that you do, right? And people must understand that perfection is not SX's, right? We're brought up in a country, and I mean Africa, where people practice eye service and sheepish humility. You know, that's to a large extent is unholy even towards your own development and growth, right? So you want to be able to look at it and say that intentionality to be competent is very important. So we must build ourselves to become consciously competent. So we shouldn't be thriving on the excuse of we're lucky. You know? So yes, that's the only thing that messes Africa up. I mean, if you're anywhere in the Western, and I mean developed countries, they should be able to let you know that this particular shirt that you are buying from this day is going to expire this other day.
Yes.
Right. So that's an intentionality, you know, with knowing what it means to create products, create strategy, and all of that, right? So competence tells about the fact that if you create anything, you should be able to tell when that thing expires, because the simple law of life, like law of gravity, says that you go up. Oh, sorry, not the law of gravity now, but the effect of the law of gravity says that whatever goes up must come down. And the product's life cycle graph that we drew the last time, we said everything will be born, everything will grow and mature, right? So, and everything will eventually decline, right? So you should be able to tell that this thing has this number of years as a lifespan, right? And one of the ways to be able to do that is that you cannot determine the lifespan on the thing when you already start to use it. You only determine that at your point of manufacturing, right? So you want to be able to grow a good business processes and system that is able to not just deal with the actual products created, but also to deal with the post curation. So when is this thing going to expire? You know, when it expires, what other effect comes out of it and all of that. So it comes with thorough planning, right? So how do you know that an idea has come to, you know, its best and then it's time to decline? The simple way to do so is that you must be able to determine that during the course of production. That's one. Two is that you must be able to use data and metrics. You should be able to understand when your industry and the market is changing. And what do you do? Rather than just stay like it doesn't concern you, you want to be able to play alongside with what the industry is doing, right? And find your own unique spot, your own unique niche on how to take influence in what is the full chunk of the industry, right? So as much as possible, you must be able to determine the lifespan of every strategy, right? How do you know when to change your strategy? Simple. You must have a way to measure, right? You must have a way to measure. I mean, imagine we started an idea. The idea is designed to give us 500 people, right? And then when it's designed to give us 500 people, we discovered that the first time we hit 700 and then 1,000, and then after 2 years, this idea 200, 100. So that's the way you know you've been able to measure. Oh, because you're taking counts. Before was 1,000 and now it's 180. You should be able to know. And it is in feedback collection and your mechanism of collecting feedback that now tells you to a large extent that, oh, it may not be that the idea has faded, but your management is having an issue. Right, so that's the reason why feedback must be periodic, right? So you don't leave it for a long time. That's the reason why we must build a complete organizational system where people and even ideas are accountable. I
Accountable.
mean, I say people and ideas are
Yeah.
accountable, right? We gave you XYZ. What did you bring back?
What did you bring
so
back?
feedback is another way of being accountable. I mean, just last week we were able to, in my organization, we do what you call the Monday feedback system and periodic accountability meeting, and then we call it the refresher. And then in the middle of the week on Wednesday, we call everybody back at the round table to say how far, what's your goal like, you know, what's happening. And then on Friday, everybody sits back again to be able to evaluate the goals and be able to plot goals for the next other week. This is what it is. You've got to be intentional. You've got to be intentional. And the moment you measure, you should be able to determine what has gone wrong. But don't forget that if you have a prior notice when you were doing the creation, to be able to know that by history and template, right, by intentional scripting, others who have used this idea, they did not use it for more than 10 years. I mean, in the history, if everybody who uses this idea have not used it for more than 10 years, it's a secondary data to guide you on when you're going to use that idea, that chances are that you are likely not going to survive that idea after 10 years. Right? You know, so that's how to know these ideas and strategy and know where
I love the fact that you actually gave an instance about your organization, you know, setting goals and your staff having their own goals as well. But that makes me want to ask you this question actually. If your goals as a person or as an individual does not align with the organization goals for the year, does that mean you have to let go of your own goals and ambition to be able to key into the organization goal, or you let go the organization goal to key into your own goals? Because your goals determines where you are headed, and the organization goals determine where the organization is headed as well. Imagine you have, let me put it this way, imagine you have somebody who have the interest of becoming a footballer, and is working in your organization as an accountant.
I think I get your question.
So,
okay, so
what can such person do? Because I know there are people like that that are currently in such situation and they are confused. They don't know what to do.
I get it. So there's something in the HR language you call the talent sabotage, or what you call the career sabotage. Right? It is a misfit to hire somebody who don't look like your company. Right, so organizations should be able to know that, right? Your vision is this, and the person you're hiring does not look like it, right? So it's already a talent sabotage. At the end of the day, somebody is going to be useless. It's either the organization is useless to the person, or the person is useless to the organization. So you want to be able to do mutuality, right? It was the reason why I talked about the fact that we need to move away from relating to now doing fellowship. Right, it is important. Fellowship talks about the fact that we have similar values, you know, similar value,
ambition,
vision, purpose, energy, and all of that. So those things matters. It matters. It matters. Fellowship matters. Right. That's one side of it. Now another part of the misfit is that it is a wicked thing as an employee to have your personal goals, right, as against the organization goals. I mean, you're paid salaries and all of these things. The reason why you're paid to work, the organization spends so much money to develop you, is not so that you can come do your personal goals on them. It is so that you can achieve the team goal. So in other words, team goals supersede individual goals. But individual goals are complement. So if the person already look like our team goal, it gives us a soft landing, is a better person to hire, right? Because they look like our part. In my organization, you cannot work with us if you don't have your own goal, right? Because we believe that team is a collection of people, right? They must first be a success unto themselves before they become success
to
unto
the
another,
company,
right? So as much as possible, it is important to understand that the team goals supersede the individual goals. So if you work in a place and then the internet, the resources of that place, you use it to do your own work, then you are a wicked person. In the voice of Mommy G.O., you will go to fire. Right? You will go to fire. Oh and the reason is because, I mean, you are hired to do our job, not necessarily your job. Right? You see that happen a lot in every of those workplaces. It's a terrible thing. You are not designed, you are not hired to come and do you. You are hired to come and do us. It is in doing us that your expression of you gains more power, right? So you must understand that the goal is more important than our role. Who you are doesn't matter to us until we know what who you are can fetch us in what we want to achieve, right? So it's important that people understand these things and then be able to do a balanced organization. A balanced organization where you are not a waste to the organization and the organization is
It's
not
not
a
a
waste
waste
to
to
you.
you.
I mean, a lot of other organizations are also guilty of the fact that they also sabotage talent. Right? I mean, in my organization, you can have the freedom. There's a law or a principle we call boundarylessness in our organization. Right? At Signature, boundarylessness tells that anybody should be able to talk to me, you should be able to send feedback, you should be able to communicate or do whatever thing, right? Because the first thing is that we don't care about how much you know, how much the organization is making until we care about how much you care for others, right? So care is a strong component to be able to build a balanced organization where you can have mutual goals and it becomes a complete win-win situation, other than using people making so much money. Your guy is the one growing fat. Your guy is the one looking all of this chubby,
Why this stuff
achieving
gets
goals.
into
Why
that?
you get all of those things, right? So people must be able to understand that the growth of every organization is largely dependent on the growth of individual members, right? And that's where it starts from. Thank you.
All right. Wow. Well said. And now still on the, let me bring you to the career part again, because I know there are people that are currently in this same situation that this person find himself. And this is a question from one of our listeners. His name is Collins Akmelu. I hope I got
that's
that
my
right.
chairman, yes. Akmelu.
Okay, so yeah, I think we treated this question last time, but I would love us to touch it again. And the question is, what is the difference between career and passion?
Oh, I said it that career and passion is a burning desire for something.
Yes.
Right. So I had said that you need to. I mean, if you did not watch it, that's the last episode.
Yes,
we
that,
had
that
last
was the
week,
last episode.
right? And
last
then I
week.
said because it is. So it is a desire. You know, it's a part. It's a burning desire for something, right? Part time, right? Part time. And then I said career is the total output of all your expressions, right? All your visions, expressions, the total output of it is what you say, this is my career, right? So you don't have a career in pastoring, you have a career in leading people to Christ. So the career is to lead people to Christ.
Okay.
The mission is through Christ,
Christ.
you know, the redemption, Christianity, that is the mission, right? But your career is in leading people to Christ. Now, when you are doing that career, it starts with a first role, which is you going to Bible school, you being a priest.
Okay.
It's a vocation, and then from there to being an ordained pastor. And then one day you are called to the manifolds of ministry, and then you can move from being a pastor into being a bishop into whatever. So your job roles change per time, but your career is the total output of your many expressions of vision, right? So you want to be able to understand that. So your passion is a burning desire you have for a thing part time, right? Watch that video from the last episode, Oladima Opera Signature on my YouTube, right? So your career, we said that I can have passion for money because part-time, it is the need that I have now, right? I can have passion for growth. Part-time, it is the need that I have now, right? So passion is not only tied to your gift or your vision in life. Passion is also tied to your needs part-time, right? I can have passion for this young woman. Oh, there's a way she makes me happy. It is at that point you start to say, I did Jaruma you. Right, if you understand what I mean, is that a kayamata on your matter?
Oh my God!
Right, you see a guy meet a girl, and then all of a sudden it looks like the entire world has changed from beginning to the end. Right, it means that there was passion. Somehow something happened. You know, like I always say, that everybody will be true to their history,
Okay.
or else they have an encounter or a disaster. Right, so you'll be true to your history of love once your right move button has been touched. All right, if you don't understand what move button means, it means your right button of vulnerability has been touched. Everybody have that soft spot, and the moment it is touched, you just realize that the passion for everything else shows up, and that's the best way to live, right? So don't forget, passion is not only tied to just your vision or your career. Of course, what you love, what you have burning desire to, can link you into what your career is, right? But it is not that linear.
Mm.
Passion is not just about career and vision, it is also about your needs per time, right? A lot of people have passion for sex. It was the reason why, to a large extent, they get into addiction. People have passion for drugs. It is the reason why they get, it becomes overdue. When the passion is overdue, it becomes some level of addiction, right? So you want to be able to check that and understand that passion, right, is that burning desire for anything per time.
Wow, thank you so much, sir. So let me, before I go to comments, let me quickly ask you this question.
Yeah.
This question I'm asking you like a common man in Nigeria would ask.
Yeah.
It's a question that sounds so lame, sounds so unideal, but if you look deep into it, you realize that okay, there's some, there's a little sense in it. So the question is, in a dwindling economy like Nigeria, do you think it's necessary to set goals,
Okay, this is how it works. If you go to developed
or just
nations,
live life the way it comes?
if you go to developed nations, they are organized nations, so you can plan because there are data and all of these things,
Mm.
right?
Yes.
So there is money everywhere.
Mm.
There may not be money to pick around in an organized, society,
Yeah.
but there is money everywhere in Nigeria, right?
Mm.
Because anyhowness validates thorough planning.
Sorry, can you reverse that?
Okay.
Anyhowness.
Yeah, so that we are in a society where anyhow,
Okay.
just do it anyhow,
Mm.
where we are not organized. There is no data to plan and all of this.
Mm.
Because there is no data to plan, where there is anyhowness,
Mm.
it is the reason why you should plan thoroughly,
Mm.
right? But give room for contingencies.
Mm.
I don't know if you understand, right? Because if you plan, chances are that what you are even planning, another thing is coming to hit you.
Mm.
Because you live in a place where intentionality is low, people operate from the survival mentality. I mean, from the lowest cadre of their needs, which is the physiological needs. Everybody is responding to you according to their stomach. Right? So if you live in that kind of place, you want to be able to be sure that you are having thorough planning while you have your contingencies. In other words, room to be flexible.
Mm.
Right? Yes, it is ideal to plan in a society like Nigeria. Right? This is how it is. In a developed society, chances are that if you're not planning, the government is even planning for you. Because they are very intentional. You could see that they are saying, oh, we are giving room for more people, more immigrants to come into our country. Because by social time, I mean in America, in some years to come, now maybe in 2035 or something, you have discovered that every family in America most likely are going to have one immigrant or the other. It's an intentional script, all right, of using, what's the word now, the workforce or the talent of other nations to build America. Does it make sense? So those kind of things is what happens in a developed nation. I mean, if you don't have a car in a developed nation, well, there is a system or policy that says at this age or
you
at
must
this
acquire
earning
one.
capacity, you will see the government write to you and say you are qualified for it. They will write to you and say you are qualified for mortgage. So if you are not planning, the society is designed in such a way where it plans for you. Because your not planning cannot spoil our own plan. So they find a way to get you walking into their plan, or find a way to make sure that you don't sabotage the entire or the total plan of the nation, right? But in an anyhowness society like Nigeria, if you don't plan for yourself, or your is your case, right? No government send you, and chances are that if you like, send the government, but it's all on different things. But I guess you understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I get
so in a society like this, that's why you must do the thorough planning, because nobody sends you. If you don't send yourself, nobody. And there's that popular advert from a popular product that says, if we don't, who will?
Who will? Wow.
Thank you.
That's a very perfect way to put it, because I hacked that to establish the fact that regardless of what the economy of Nigeria is right now, it is important that we all have a plan, so you know what you are doing. Even if the government is not doing anything for you, you will know what you're doing for yourself. So let's quickly go to the comment section. We have, wow, there's a lot of comments right here. I'm not sure if I can take everything, but I will try as much as possible to take as many as I could. Okay, so yeah, comment right here. Teresa, I hear them. Okay, I'm gonna read your comment today. So I think she is putting out some points from what you said. Assertion is about responding to situation positively. Okay, and we have a comment from Awa Obuba. Okay, sorry if I did not get that name correctly. I'm not so good with names. Maintain the energy. Okay, okay. And this is also coming from her again. Here, I don't know, but it says positive response produces positive results. Okay, I'm happy you're able to cut that. Okay, then we have Adebayo Olubumi Eustace. You are right. Wow, confirming what you said. Okay, then the rest are lot of comment from Teresa Hidem. Then we also have a special guest in the house. Oh wow, new um viewer or listener, I don't know how to put it.
From Pakistan.
Amen Yasin from Pakistan, saying your program is very nice and very nice. Okay.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Thank you so much, Yasin. Thank you so much for joining the show, and we do hope you keep coming back to check more of our content. Trust me, we are always there to make sure that you get the right information at the right time, and also to make sure that you're not just watching and listening for fun, but as well, get information that can impact your life positively and help you become a better person financially and mentally. Okay, so wow, don't forget you can always follow us on our social media platform. On Facebook, if you're not watching us already, we are Broad Street Radio NG on Instagram, Broad Street RAD on Twitter. Yes, Twitter is back. Hallelujah. Broad Street RAD on Twitter as well. And of course, you can always write to us. You can send us a mail, hello@broadstreetradio.com if you want. If you have a question to ask us or our guests, yes, we can connect you with our guest. If you have something you would like to do with our guest, yes, we can always do that. Or if you're in Nigeria, you can just come to our office right here at 5860 Medifair House, Broad Street Radio. Okay.